Let's hear about it. Belief systems. I'm a
Yeah,
big fan of belief systems, values, principles, the things that drive our lives.
absolutely. So with relationships, there's our beliefs about ourselves that really get in the way, and then there's also beliefs about relationships. Both of those are going to impact how you're showing up in your relationships. So really just to even take a look at the beliefs about yourself, I would want you to just do a free write and see what comes up for you. Like, what are the things that I've believed about myself? And this is obviously in your subconscious mind. This is not something.
Welcome to another episode of Rich in Relationship. And today the topic is clearing the deck. So maybe you've had a bad relationship, or maybe you're even divorced and you're looking for a partner. But first, what do you got to do? You got to clear the deck. Or if we were in a Toyota factory, it would be you do some 5S. You'd sort, set in order, et cetera, et cetera. And here to help us on this topic is Dr. Morgan Anderson. She's the recent author of Love Makes It. She's got an awesome podcast, and she's just super knowledgeable. How are you, Morgan?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Terrific. And Morgan, the question I ask everyone on the front end of the podcast is, how did your heart lead you to do the work that you do?
It's a great question. I, like many people in the field of clinical psychology, I experienced my fair share of childhood trauma. And that included losing my mom at a young age. And then I watched my dad go through 4 different marriages after that. And I had a lot of fear of abandonment growing up. And I just found myself really confused when it came. I could not figure it out. And then in my second year of getting my PhD, I'm studying clinical psychology. I found myself dating a narcissist, and I actually dated. Yeah, right. So I dated him for about 1.5 years. The first 6 months was magical, the love bombing. It was, a fairy tale. But by the end of that relationship, I hit complete rock bottom. I had no self-worth. I was totally isolated from friends and family. And I just knew there has to be a different way. I have to figure out how to have a healthy relationship if I ever want to have one. So I dedicated myself to studying attachment theory and studying relationships. And I just promised I will figure this out and I will help other people figure it out. And that's what I've done. I've completely healed and turned my life around. Healing's a lifelong journey, but I'm at a place now where I have an incredible partner. I'm in a healthy, securely attached relationship, and my life is completely different. And now I get to help other people do the same.
I love it. I love stories where we're making good of the bad. It's really easy when we have a negative experience to get all hung up on how negative it was and fearful. And when we really embrace it, really explore it, really clean it up, we have the opportunity to share it with other people and make a difference in their lives. So cool that you're doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's that cliche of you get lemons and you make lemonade, right?
Yeah, I reckon. And I'm sort of stuck by, I was watching some program and a rock star was saying, I need my tea with lemons, but they have to be unwaxed. So you said, I got stuck on lemons, well, are they waxed or unwaxed, Morgan? Right? Total rabbit hole segue. Let's ignore that thought. I'm a little all over the place today. All right. So we're talking about clearing the deck, and you saw, actually, let me just share with you that my dad was married 5 times, sometimes at the same time to 2 women, and repeated the same patterns over and over. So I really get this experience you had watching your dad. And I suspect that they are both examples of what can happen when you don't clear the deck. So what's the danger of clearing the deck? Meaning when you don't really look at what happened there, what do I have to learn? How might this be different in the future? So how do you start clearing the deck?
Beautiful question. And of course, we repeat what we do not repair, right? So we just take those same templates of a relationship, we repeat them over and over again, unless we heal, unless we repair. But that question of where do we start? It really starts with that acceptance that there is a need internal, get yourself in the mirror to really do the work, and that you can handle it. I think sometimes we think it's going to be too painful and, ooh, I can't look at my past, or I can't look at my dating patterns. It's going to be too hard. But just acknowledging, hey, you can do this. You deserve to do it. And you deserve to make the space in your life to do it. So whether it's working with a coach, therapist, etc., but invest in yourself to make the space to do the healing work. That's really where it starts.
You know, I bumbled into this amazing neurolinguistic programming process. We were talking about this before the show, folks.
Yes.
Called mental and emotional release, which is phenomenal for like releasing baggage, but you gotta want it. So
Yes.
yeah, I think part of the problem is we walk out of these relationships and we say, oh, it was all her, or it was all him. And we don't really realize that maybe we have some responsibility and we have stuff to let go of. What suggestions would you make to people to start looking inward and to start exploring some of that stuff they might want to let go of?
Yeah, I so to have developed a program called the Empowered Secure Love Program. And first thing people do is what's called a relationship inventory.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where you make a list of all your past relationships that were significant, that you know had an impact on you. And then I want you to answer the questions. How did I know I was loved? Or did I know I was loved? Was I emotionally safe? Were my needs met? Could I be heard and understood? And just by answering those questions for each significant relationship, your brain's going to start to see the patterns, and you can kind of start to understand where some of your relationship dynamics come from. That's one of the very first things. And then after that, step 2 is really looking at your belief systems, which I'd be happy to dive into that.
Sure. Let's hear about it. Belief systems. I'm a
Yeah,
big fan of belief systems, values, principles, the things that drive our lives.
absolutely. So with relationships, there's our beliefs about ourselves that really get in the way, and then there's also beliefs about relationships. Both of those are going to impact how you're showing up in your relationships. So really just to even take a look at the beliefs about yourself, I would want you to just do a free write and see what comes up for you. Like, what are the things that I've believed about myself? And this is obviously in your subconscious mind. This is not something that just like comes to you. So you have to dedicate time and really allow yourself, like, belief self. And then we'd want to do the same thing about beliefs about relationships. This is the one that I don't see get talked about enough. And this is where you'd be saying, like, oh, I have to perform in order to receive love, or I have to be a certain way, or I'm going to be abandoned. It's beliefs that you have about how a relationship is supposed to be and how you are supposed to be in the relationship. And when we start to look at those subconscious belief systems, we start to understand our behaviors. Um, And then I have a whole process that I take people through. It's kind of like a painful coaching process. People are always like sobbing and crying, and it's this big thing, right? And I help people release those old belief systems that are getting in the way.
Nice.
Um, yeah.
Nice. And for our listeners, just to kind of get you up to speed, the reason why it's the unconscious mind or the subconscious mind is that's like 80 or 90% of who we are is there. What's below deck is what drives the ship. And in order to change the patterns that the programming is running on, you got to do exactly this kind of work. And I love your program, Morgan. It sounds really thorough. Super exciting work that
Thank
you're doing.
you.
Yeah. All right. So
Yeah.
we get in there, we start to clean this stuff up. And now how do we reset and start over? I mean, in
That's a
our
beautiful
search.
question. Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful question. The metaphor I like to use is it's like your brain has a filing cabinet with the word relationship on it, and it has all these files, right? And there's so many that we didn't intentionally choose. And then through this process, we've dumped out all those files and we're looking at them and we're saying, oh, this is unhelpful. This is terrible, right? But then, of course, the file back in the drawer that we want, right? So we have to be able to intentionally create our belief systems and intentionally create our relationship model. So I would have people start thinking about, well, what would be helpful for me to believe in order to attract the kind of relationship that I want? Like, what is actually true, right? It's as simple as starting with, I am worthy of love. There are so many people out there right now who would be excited to date me. I'm deserving of an emotionally available partner and a reciprocal, healthy relationship. Really developing the belief system that will support healthy dating.
Mm-hmm. Now, you know what I love about your process is I meet a lot of coaches who just go, dating coaches in particular, who just go to, all right, let's create some positive thoughts so that you can avoid the problems you've made in the past without ever really dealing with the core belief or idea or
Yeah.
emotion that created that situation in the first place. And it's kind of like taking one of those superhero band-aids and you're going to, and you know, in the form of an affirmation, and you're just going to slap it on this bleeding
Yeah.
artery and hope that the artery stops bleeding. But it's colorful and it's pretty, so it's attractive, and you really want to
Yeah.
use it, but it just isn't adequate. You know, without really taking care of whatever the core problem is, all the positive thinking in the world is going to have very limited impact. Because
It's
underneath the conscious mind trying to be positive, staying I'm only thinking positive terms. I'm only going to say good things. I'm only going to think good thoughts. Underneath it is the 80 or 90% of you that's got that file cabinet full of this is what a relationship equals being yelled at, or relation, or whatever, you know, whatever the strange unconscious associations we have are with
yes.
relationship. Or maybe it looks like this. This is a good one I get a lot, is being married is very different than being in love. And once I get married, the relationship I'm going to have is more like mom and dad's or grandpa or grandma's. And then two people come in with that programming, they get married and they're like, who the hell are you? What happened here? You know? And so without knowing what that stuff is, without revealing it and bringing it to the light, it doesn't matter how positive you
Yes.
want to be. You got to clean out, you got to clear the deck. You got to clean out that stuff that created the mess in the first place.
Such a good point. I'm such a believer in that. The only way forward is through. We have to feel through what exists.
We used to
And
say
I
the only way out is through, and that's because so many of us just wanted to get out. It's like, I want to get out. Oh, I got to go through. Hey,
yeah.
tell us about your book.
Yeah, you got to go through.
Yeah,
Okay. So I wrote a book. Still kind of crazy to say that. Took me a couple years. Um
congratulations.
thank you. It's called Love Magnet. I have it right here.
Beautiful.
And
Wait, hold it up again because I want to read it for the people who are on the podcast. So
yes,
it's get off the dating roller coaster and attract the love you deserve. And this is kind of what we're talking about. Like if you don't clean house, you might attract the love you don't deserve. If you do clean house,
exactly. Yeah, and what I will say to give a little bit of insight into the book, it's not just a sit back and read it. There's a lot of exercises. There's a lot of stuff I'm just giving you away for free that if you actually do the work that's in the book, you will change your life. You will
sweet.
totally transform your dating life. So, you know, you got to get out your pen and paper when you're reading it, but there's a lot of gold in there that will really help you change your whole belief system.
Yeah. So, folks, I really want you to hear this. When an author tells you that it's a workbook, that means don't read it first and do the workbook second, because almost no one reads and then does the workbook. You want to do,
Right.
like, take the time, treat it like journaling or something. Take your time with the
Yes.
book, maybe read a novel on the side while you're doing it, and treat this as a personal journey and really do the work.
Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you. It's experiential, right? It's not a passive read. It's an experiential read. And I did that because I don't want to waste your time. I want you to really be able to get the most out of a reading experience.
Yeah. And so if someone were to do that, how long, if they were going to really, if they're going to do the exercises and take their time with it, how long would you recommend that they spend with it?
I like to just get down to the point. I'm not a fluff person at all. The book's only 160 pages. And I really think if you took 2 months of your life, you would get through this very, very well. It'd
Well,
be
would
very
it would
thorough.
it be okay to like go to Aruba for a long weekend and by yourself and just work on it there on the beach? Would you just,
Hey,
or is this a, like, do you need the time to process the processes?
I think if you took dedicated time by yourself, you could absolutely spend 3 to 4 days and knock it out if that's your style.
Cool.
Just, yeah. It's emotional labor, right? We all have different capacity for emotional labor. So as long as you're support, you'll be good.
Yeah, I think maybe that might be a little fantasy that just came out. Like, I'm gonna
Yeah,
go
I'm like,
to
can I go to Aruba?
I'm
Like,
gonna
that
go to
sounds
Aruba
great.
with a workbook and just sit on the beach and do some
Yeah.
personal work and maybe get, what little hair I have braided and with some beads in it, and just chill out. That
Will
doesn't
you
sound so
send me a
bad.
postcard? Yeah,
I
I like
will. I'm
that.
halfway through the workbook, Morgan, and I feel amazing. Yeah. And I didn't even have any rum yet, It'd be like that. Hey, Morgan,
Good.
how can people find you and your book?
Yeah, so the book will be available. I'll give you the link, Rich, too, but it's on Amazon if you search Love Magnet, Dr. Morgan Anderson. There's another Love Magnet that is a fantasy lesbian love story. That is not the book that I wrote.
I might take that
Um
to Aruba too.
yeah,
That'll be like my nighttime reading.
yes. Get both. But it's on Amazon. The best way to connect with me is on Instagram. It's just Dr. Morgan Coaching on Instagram. And then I also have a podcast called Let's Get Vulnerable. And we have 2 episodes out every week. So
Oh,
would
sweet. Tell
love to
us more about the
connect.
podcast. I mean, we know it's about getting vulnerable, but like, what could we
Yeah.
expect if we go there?
So it is like actionable advice that you can apply to your life right now, today. A lot of attachment theory science made easy to understand. A lot of relationship help, how to have assertive, healthy communication, and just it's real honest talk from me. No fluff, as I said. That the episodes are about 10 to 25 minutes. And it'll change your relationship life if you listen to it.
Morgan, just as she is.
Yes.
Sweet. Sweet.
Yes.
So all of that good stuff is going to be in the notes, and you can always instant message us, direct message us, email us, or whatever. If you can't find it, we always want to make sure that our guests are reachable and that their podcast, books, or whatever are available, because we're all here to raise the ships together. Ronald
Yes.
Reagan had this thing, all the tide raises all ships, or
Yes.
something like that. But that's kind of what this is about.
Yes.
Hey, Morgan, what is the legacy you want to leave behind?
The legacy I want to leave behind is that you can have an incredible life and incredible relationships no matter your past, no
Mm,
matter what you've been through. You're never too broken. You can create a life that feels so good to you, where you feel so connected and so happy and safe in your relationships. It's available to anyone. If it was available to me, it is available to anyone.
I love that. What it says to me is that, well, God, I feel like such a ham. What I'm about to say. I heard Oprah say, but I heard Oprah say that she's not angry about any aspects of her life because it all contributed to her being who she is today. And, of course, I don't know her personally, and I didn't hear her say that personally. Let's be really clear. It's not like she's my BFF yet. But I love the idea of that. The idea that every experience has the kernels of our greatness in it. And so if we're feeling any kind of moving away from or a feeling of ambivalence or reluctance or unhappiness about our past, there's a kernel of greatness in there for our future. You know, and that's what I really hear in that, is that we don't, whatever our past is, or because of what our past is, we can be so much more and have so much more. And I hear that in, you know, how you started out this show. Hey, I had these really less than optimal life experiences, and I've made the best of
Yeah.
them, and I'm helping other people with them.
Yes, exactly. I really believe that for everyone.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
Thank you for having me. This was great.